Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special edition of the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. This is the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup USA versus Mexico post-game show for the championship final. And unfortunately for the U.S. men's national team, they fell to Mexico by a final of 1-2. Mexico down early on a Chris Richards goal through a great free kick from Sebastian Berhalter. But unfortunately for the U.S., Mexico does win. Now, before we talk about the match, let me just say this right now. I want to applaud the guys on this U.S. men's national team who did their best. They did their best to perform. And while Mexico wasn't really Mexico themselves, or shall I say they weren't what past Mexican teams have been for these last several years, but they did enough because they had basically a tad more quality than our U.S. men's national team players did. Great free kick by Sebastian Berhalter, right to Chris Richards, heads it in, just completely over the goal line and inside of the near post. Then, of course, before that, it hit the bottom of the crossbar. So that was a great moment there. But the rest of the way, you could see not much in the midfield, not much in the final third, and unfortunately for this U.S. men's national team, just not enough on the night to really threaten Mexico. Nothing much on the night to say, we're here to take you down. Now, obviously, their mentality was spot on. They had that mentality. They had that fight. And when you have that fight and you have that mentality to bring that fight, that is a great thing to see. But when you don't have enough quality on the ball, that's when you're going to get burned. And unfortunately, that's what happened in this match. This does not take anything away from what Mexico did. Mexico did a fantastic job of putting on the pressure, getting timely goals, and at times against the U.S. where they were not so much they were switched off. I don't want to say they were switched off, but maybe slightly a little confusion on the pitch. I can go with that because what I saw from this group, they tried their best, but unfortunately their best was just not good enough. And if I can just say that, while we cannot fault Mauricio Pochettino for basically being given the ingredients that he had to have. Because once again, there are problems. And the problems are this. Either players were injured who are normally on this national team, coming back from injury, maybe not healthy enough, to players like Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, and Tim Weah, who basically refused to come to the U.S. men's national team. One went on vacation. Two, who had their Club World Cup ride ended by Real Madrid, so they could have came over, decided not to come over. And you know what? Maybe Pochettino didn't want them to come over. Pochettino was happy with what he got. A bunch of kids that wanted to play, a bunch of kids that showed that they want to prove themselves that they belong on the national team. Now, without a doubt, there are some players on this national team that I will not say right now don't deserve another shot at the national team. But for right now, I would not call them up for the for the FIFA World Cup next summer. I would not. These players, as great as they played up to this point, and honestly, once again, some did not play to their full potential because they're not ready for this yet. Once again, and I don't want to be a broken record, but we have to say it because I know everyone's been complaining about Patrick Ajimong and how he played. I was not surprised. I was not shocked. I felt he just wasn't going to find the right moment to put the ball in the back of the net. He is not ready for this national team right now, and he is not ready for the World Cup. And right now, I would not even bother calling him into the World Cup team at all. Even if you want to glue his rear end to the bench, that decision, I remember talking about past Gold Cup post-game shows. I said that if Pochettino does call in Patrick Adjimang to the World Cup roster, that he should glue his backside to the bench. I think it's time that he just stays home and just doesn't even bother watching from the bench. I really think Adjimang needs to watch from home, and he needs to see what he needs to do better and how he needs to do better. Now, we all know about the transfer rumor that he'll be going maybe to Derby County in England, and we'll see what happens over there if he does get this transfer fee over there. But right now, if I am Mauricio Pochettino, I do not bother with Patrick Adjimang at all. Keep him home. That doesn't mean I think he sucks. That does not mean I think he doesn't deserve to be on the national team. What this means is, for now, he doesn't deserve to be on the national team. He does not deserve to go on the World Cup. And we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen in the next cycle. And if he continues not to perform in either a Nations League semifinal, final, another Gold Cup tournament, in a World Cup qualifier, then I will say definitely he should not be mentioned for the national team ever again. And I understand how everyone is upset, and I understand how everyone is angry that there were at least 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 different opportunities that Adjimang should have scored. And he could not, because either he was taken off the ball, or shot selection was poor, or swing and a miss, or it just wasn't there at the right time, and it just did not work out well. And once again, like I said, there are players on this team that should not be called up to the World Cup roster at all right now. And while players like Christian Pulisic will get called into the World Cup team, because the truth is, Pochettino has no choice. He has no choice but to bring in Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, and Tim Weah, because the attacking options right now are limited from what we saw on this Gold Cup roster. Now, Diego Luna, who tried to do a little too much and unfortunately got ganged up pretty well from Mexico. And you can just say right now that, for me, Diego Luna should be on the World Cup roster. Some will still say Malik Tillman should not be on the World Cup roster. We'll wait and see what happens with what Pochettino does. I'm just going to wait for that announcement when it does come. And hopefully, Anthony Robinson returns from injury. Ricardo Pepe will return from injury. Some of our players return from injury who are normally playing in Europe, and some of them who are playing in MLS. So we'll see what happens down the road. We'll see what goes on. And until then, now, this was the last competitive international window game for the U.S. men's national team. Now it's just friendlies all the way until we get to the World Cup itself. And all I can say is this: I appreciate the level of compete. Unfortunately, not enough quality to dethrone Mexico. And once again, I am not disheartened, strangely enough as it is. I'm not disheartened at all. I am pretty good right now. And probably you'll be saying, are you crazy? You're not upset? You're not angry? You're not throwing your chair across the room? No, I'm not, because the truth of the matter is this: we did not expect them to get this far. I personally didn't expect them to get this far. I hoped they would get to the final. I thought if they don't make the semifinals, that's a problem. Reaching the Gold Cup quarterfinals, to the penalty kick shootout, and if they would have fell to Costa Rica, I would have been like, I'm angry, but I'm not angry, because they went all the way to the penalties, and they converted 4 of 6 penalties that they had. But once again, it's a situation where, because of injuries and because of certain players being spoiled brats that did not want to be on this Gold Cup roster, well, I hate to say it, but these players did more than what those players have done. And let me also say this, and this is the one thing I like about what Taylor Twellman said in his mea culpa tweet, about how he admits he's put these players on a pedestal, because we've never had so many Americans playing in Europe in our lifetime, supporters and diehards of the world's game. Okay? They basically got a free ride, because even though maybe Christian Pulisic was on his way to earning his spot, everyone else was given their spots. And unfortunately, they're going to keep their spots because of their poor attitude and, once again, not enough quality on the attack to put them on the front foot. So, U.S. soccer right now in a rock and a hard place. They are. They are right now between a rock and a hard place. And once again, and whose fault is that? Whose fault is it getting this far and, not coming home with a continental championship tournament trophy? Once again, there was messing around going about. They should have not brought back Greg Berhalter. They foolishly did by playing all these stupid games, by not keeping Anthony Hudson, by not keeping BJ Callahan, who's done amazing work with Nashville, and let him stay in Nashville for a couple more seasons, because we need to see him have a full resume as a head coach. He did a good job with the national team on an interim basis. And is he probably tagged as next head coach for the U.S. men's national team after Pochettino? He probably is right now. But he still needs more years under his belt. As tough as that is to hear, we have to understand that even BJ Callahan needs some seasoning as a head coach, no matter what league it is. So when BJ Callahan does get selected for the U.S. men's national team position, once it's vacated, we'll have him here, and maybe he'll do the impossible. We'll have to wait and see. But until then, that's what we saw on this entire tournament. Destroying Trinidad and Tobago is basically easy to do. 1-goal victory over a very difficult Saudi Arabia side. That was a very good result. Defeating Haiti 2-1, which should have been more, but once again, some switching off here and there, allowing a goal to get scored. Switched off, switched on, switched off, switched on against Costa Rica. The Diego Luna show in the semifinal against Guatemala. And then this one against Mexico. Here's the graphic now, as I'm going to bring this up right now. There it is for everyone to see. Chris Richards, 4th minute with the header, just completely over the goal line to make it 1-0. And then Raul Jimenez ties it up on a big blast inside the near post in the upper 90, deflecting off of Tim Ream to put it in. And then, unfortunately, the game-winning goal by Edson Alvarez, where Alex Freeman, unfortunately, steps back a little bit, which he shouldn't have done, because if he would have stayed straight and forward, that would have been wiped out for an offside. But it wasn't. And it's those mental mistakes. It's those mental mistakes that cost you games. It really does. And once again, it's all over, as Mexico will advance. I shouldn't say advance, but they do win the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup. Now, when it comes to the handball situation, and I get different opinions, obviously. I mean, we have our match experts, our rules analysts out there, Dr. Joe Matchnick of Fox Sports, Christina Uncle of CBS Sports, excuse me, where they are saying that's not a handball on Mexico before they scored to make it 2-1 in their area because apparently the defender's hand was trying to brace himself after he slipped and he touched the ball. And even though he probably did roll it a little bit, they're still saying it's not handball. Many people still saying that's handball. And if you slowed it down enough, it does look like a handball to me. Um, you know, we can agree to disagree. I will not challenge either Dr. Joe Matchnick or Christina Uncle. But even VAR said it was not handball. Many people still say it was a handball. If you check out all the replays through social media, um, it's a tough one. But I will agree to disagree on that one because maybe that should have been given as a handball, and we should have had a penalty kick attempt there. But controversy, obviously, once again reigning. Many people screaming we're getting CONCACAF again. So it's a situation where we'll have to wait and see on that one. I won't touch it as far as I've just done right now. But let's just say this right now: do I believe it was a handball? I'm leaning towards yes, but I'm still having a section saying no. But it's more 75-25. Yes, I feel that was a handball. It felt to me it was a handball. And we'll be talking about this throughout the next Gold Cup in 2 years' time. But once again, this was a match where, look, just not enough quality on the day. And, I could go on about the old hyperbole during my days at Big Soccer, where anytime that the United States would get a victory over Mexico, whether it be in a friendly, whether it be in the Gold Cup, World Cup qualifying, you know, Mexican fans would always go on Big Soccer and say, "Oh, no, 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 no. You didn't beat our A team. That was not our A team. No, no, no. You didn't win. You didn't beat our A team. No, no, no." In reality, I mean, I could use the Big Soccer uh, hyperbole here and say, well, you didn't beat the United States' A team either. I could go there if I wanted to, but I choose not to. Because why? Because while it is true we didn't have the full A team out there, our guys did a hell of a job showing the fight and the heart of what it means to actually wear that shirt and to have that crest on the left side of their shirt and over their heart. They did well. Now, did they do a great job quality wise? No, not enough. Not enough. And that's an honest assessment right there of this Gold Cup roster. Once again, there are certain players I felt were out of position, like Max Arfston, who he did a good job at times, but he also didn't do a good job at times. And I felt that when you have a natural left wing back in John Tolkien, I just not having him out there full time, I just, coming in as a substitute, I just felt like John should have had a full match somewhere, anywhere in this one. I know he came in as a substitute, but I'm sorry. I just believed he should have been used as a starter. He is a natural left wing fullback. He should have been used. But once again, I am not the head coach. It is Mauricio Pochettino. And let me also say this. Mauricio Pochettino deserves a lot of credit for getting these players ready to go. He deserves a lot of credit for getting these players and having their minds concentrating on the matter at hand. He knows what he has. He knows he's got some good players. He's got some decent players, and he's got some up and coming players that he's probably discovered. So there is nothing here that should scream at you, nor should you be screaming for Mauricio Pochettino to be fired or sacked or say sayonara sucker. Mauricio Pochettino has done an amazing job with this group of players that he's had to work with. They came in with heart, passion, and dedication. That's good enough for me. Did they show enough quality? Unfortunately, they did not. But they showed that they can do some good things. But once again, there are some of those players who showed they can't do any good things. And they're not ready for this level. Do they need more time, more seasoning? Yes. Do they need to play in more friendlies? Yes, after the World Cup. Not before the World Cup anymore, after the World Cup. So when we go into this fall, September, October, November, and then March, and then the friendlies before we get to the World Cup in the send-off series, if it does happen, then, only then, after that World Cup for next summer, that's when we can call in these players to restart a brand new cycle. Because once again, the real criminals, the real people, the ones who have jeopardized this cycle are President Cindy Parlow Cohn, Chief Executive Officer JT Batson, and other members of the Board of Governors or the Board of Directors, I should say, at Soccer House. And now you could also aim your fingers of blame after you've sharpened it. You can now aim it at Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Tim Weah, because they just didn't want to be part of this. Pulisic for not ending his vacation soon enough, and Weston McKennie and Tim Weah for not coming to the U.S. men's national team because once Juventus's time at the Club World Cup was over, they could have came over. I can't blame Gio Reyna because Borussia Dortmund refused to let him go. But once again, there are other players out there who probably would have been on this Gold Cup roster, could not make it due to injury or just recovering from injury. So hopefully for next season in Europe, our players are ready to go. Hopefully they don't get injured again. And they'll be ready for this World Cup roster coming for next year, March or April, whenever the announcement is for the World Cup roster, as we get ready for next summer in the United States, our neighbors to the north in Canada, and our neighbors to the south in Mexico. That's all I can tell you. That's all I can say. So once again, this is a tough pill to swallow. This is very, very difficult. And once again, I know you want to see them win the championship. I want to see them win the championship. But the truth of the matter is this. While they did lose this game and they did lose the CONCACAF Gold Cup trophy, honestly, I felt this was going to be the result at the end of the 90 minutes. I felt that this team was not going to have the quality to get over the hump. Plain and simple. Just not enough quality. A lot of heart, a lot of passion, just not enough quality. And once again, let me just say this for U.S. soccer. We can no longer treat the CONCACAF Gold Cup as a tournament and turn it into friendly matches. This tournament is no longer about seeing who is the future for the national team. That's what friendlies are for. Okay? The Nations League, while it's only 2 games, does not imitate playing in a continental championship tournament that will equal or almost equal the World Cup in length. Playing 2 guaranteed games in the semifinal, and depending on that result, you'll go to either the 3rd place match or the final of the Nations League. And then you got to go and play in the Gold Cup, where you're going to have to play 6 games, the possibility of 6 games, 3 in the group, 3 knockout stage games. We cannot and no longer have the arrogance that we think we're the best of the best automatically, and when we fail, we basically hide behind a corner. No, we won't. We'll take this loss. We will not hang our heads in shame. We'll take this loss and get better in the next tournament in 2 years' time. But until then, U.S. soccer has to be better at this. It must be better than this. Because if it's not, then we need new people at Soccer House. We do. Because the direction is not going upward. It is not. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the CONCACAF Gold Cup 2025 Championship Final, as the United States falls to Mexico by a final of 2-1. And now it's just friendlies the rest of the way, the World Cup draw, and then the World Cup next summer, starting in June. Join me this coming Monday night for a regular Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. Once again, my name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for watching me tonight. And as always, please, 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 please enjoy your football. Thank you. Take care. So long and have a good night. And bye-bye for now. Have a good night, everybody.